Namaste and welcome, beloveds. What a holy group of mighty companions. Oh my goodness, you just can't know when Jesus tells you, let me arrange the constellation, how really precious it is. To have this group of mighties. And all the joining. And the joy of seeing and resting that we can't hear Jesus. And not to accept anything other than our divine power. It's not ours. It doesn't belong to anyone. There aren't even words for it, really. Divine power. Show me that, Jesus. He says, you have it always. So we had started going through chapter 14, Honesty of God. And really seeing how Jesus has to teach us what honesty is. Boy, there is so much confusion. Jesus, am I confused about what honesty is? He says, your idea of honesty is going into the wrong courtroom. The courtroom, it believes honesty is saying that you're guilty. Oh, it's really bad today, you know. Going to confession. Oh, I did these things and those things wrong and these things wrong. Ask Jesus. Jesus, is that honesty? That's telling a story about what happened. He says the only honesty is to ask me to show you where you're saying no to divinity. To admit the desire to deny identity. So we just sit back and rest. These light circles, Jesus is reminding me, they're a time for deep contemplation. Deep listening to the voice for God. To really listen to the true answer to who am I, the honesty. To admit honesty, infinite light. Yeah, today I received a text from someone saying, I was looking at your site and it's New Age spirituality. Our group only does Course in Miracles. And you know, it's just always an opportunity to follow Jesus. That the Course teaching is to be light. That's the only thing Jesus is trying to show us. How long would we be still for to see that we're light? How long does it take? Yeah, and he's reminding me how valuable it is to completely drop metaphysics. No discussions about metaphysics. He wants to show us that metaphysics are alive within us. We are the course metaphysics. We don't need to read about them anymore. We need to listen and follow the one who knows. And he'll tell us, he'll explain it line by line. You can ask him, Jesus, will you explain the course to me line by line? Do I have all the power to see and have you explain every single line in that course? So that's my function. We just really both posted that beautiful quote from a couple of light circles away ago from Jesus. The only thing that you can be sure of is that I will lead you out. The only thing in this world, only. You can ask him. There's nothing we can be sure of in this world. So we look at honesty of God. We need Jesus to show us what honesty is, really. We're so used to trying to have horizontal honesty. I'll tell you my secret if you tell me your secret. Ask him if that's honesty and see what he says. See if you can find honesty in sharing some kind of idea of a secret that's generated by infinite light, pretending to be what it's not. Ask Jesus, Jesus, is telling my secrets? Is that, who's making it a secret? Just ask me which miracles, which secrets you're keeping from yourself about to hide from who you are. It is not the release of guilt to tell secrets. You can ask them. It's the release from guilt to follow guidance so that there's no miscreation of guilt. So we were talking about some of the desires he was sharing. The desire to feel superior is the same as the desire to feel inferior. Jesus, do I have any desire to feel superior to God? Just see that not following me is trying to be superior. Yet it's a desire to feel inferior because it's weakness. And deny that you are as God made you. These are shadows the Son of God casts in his holy mind. So Jesus, the desire to be superior or inferior to God is a shadow in my mind. See what Jesus says. We can hear him. Everybody's getting together and having such nice talks with Jesus all day long. Isn't that great? Is completely letting them just take all the legs out from underneath the table and the belief that the Son of God is limited. Love knows not of because. Does love know a because? Just see that how that story formulation I'm going to do this because, see how the ego, the thing that I realize in following Jesus, there's no because. How do you know it's Jesus? There isn't a because in it. Now, the ego sometimes comes in and justifies and puts its little back end spin. But you can ask Jesus, do you have any becauses? There are no becauses. Following Jesus doesn't have a because behind it. Because it's following infinite light, and love doesn't know what a because is, a reason. Love knows not if then. Does love know what an if then is? If this happens, then that happens. Does infinite light have an if and a then? See that magic is an if and a then. See that desire for a pill. If I do this, then I'll feel better. See how that just split out timeline, cause and effect? I can feel better when. I can feel better because. Just you can see those show up in the storyline. David calls if-thens, Hofmeister, hypotheticals. See? This could happen. If this happens, then this is, see the exhaustion in all the if-then scenarios. It really, see that death trap? If this happens in this, then this will happen and I'll feel better. See that trick and that play that love doesn't know? Does infinite light know what an if or a then is? A when, a wherefore, and a why. Love knows not of becauses or if then or when or wherefore or whys. Why is this happening? That is a favorite question for doubting identity. Why is this happening? And there's always like, if you look behind it, to me. Does infinite light have a to me in there? Does the light have a me? You can look and see. No me, no ifs. Does it have a wherefore? And therefore I will. Can you see the play? Nor story. No story tells you who you are. There's a whole chapter in this book on storytelling. Jesus said, just give that up for a week and see how things go. Ask him, Jesus, would that be value just to forget every story, every story ever told? He said, that's a great idea. You can ask him, Jesus, is that a great idea? Yes. And then he says, then I can translate it into the happy story of the happy dream for you. See that who you are, we can see we don't have a story. Now these little storylines run, but we don't have to believe them. Oh, Jesus, am I looking for a story to tell me who I am? See how the ego plays? It's looking for a better story. If a better story can be constructed about what happened, I'll feel better. If a better story is built about who I am, I'll feel better. I'll be safe. Is that true? This is where we get to honesty. Is it true that if another set of words are put together, I'll feel better? The ego is always looking for a story that will make you feel better. You can ask Jesus that. This is the play of trading illusions. Shadow puppet battles between thoughts that mean nothing, shopping in time for the experience of death, hungering for an opportunity to have an opinion.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Just see that hunger for an opinion. Boy, when you start catching that, you catch yourself just wanting to like launch out with an opinion. Just see how an opinion is just, that's a trip to the gas chamber. I'll tell you. Just
Wow.
see it. Just look at it really closely with Jesus. Ask him. He says, yes. Is that a church? He's so graphic, but obviously we need it. You know, you see on the course when he starts talking about graveyards and bony fingers of the skeleton. Obviously we need that kind of close examination of how the miscreation of hell. Okay, we'll look directly. An opinion is a story of denial of the Father. Opinion free. How would I feel if I was totally opinion free? Now that was death to being a consultant, right? I could see that play when I was a consultant. Well, nobody's asking me my opinion. What's your opinion? Best not have one. What purpose does divine light have for an opinion? That's a good question. Jesus, is there a purpose for an opinion? I just heard no. Does an opinion have any value? He says no. Immediately. It's like not even, you can ask him, you can hear him, ask him, do opinions have any value? Like that is like a big no from Jesus. What need would a divine being have for an opinion? See, divinity, when it just expresses them, it doesn't have an opinion. It's just expression. It's just divine expression. That's such a different experience. It's expression in totality. It's not an opinion. It's just thoughts coming out, but there's no attachment to them. You can tell when you have an opinion because you can feel the grip of death. You know, and then that's when we start duking it out in the world. That's what they were. You could just watch it in the movie yesterday. The Man Who Knew Too Little. All they did the whole time was exchange opinions. See, it's just opinions. See that that's trying to horizontal. Is an opinion a horizontal, trying to have horizontal communication? See, divinity is always straight up and just expressing divinity. It's not looking for an opinion on anything. It just expresses whole and complete in unicity. See, having an opinion is kind of spoiling for a fight. You can ask Jesus. I can hear it. Yep. It's kind of spoiling to duke something out. An opinion is a story of denial of the Father. Okay. Well, that clears it up. It's pretty direct. He's not given any leeway on opinions. Come quickly into the circle of light, ever shining. Aww. Sit quietly in contemplation of light, the light given to you by the Father. Jesus is the only thing the God Father has given me is light, the only thing. The only thing, being infinite, untouched by time or space. See that denials do not exist here. See that peace is here and all the love that seeking aimlessly in form can never provide. is all the love in light. You'll never get a no from Jesus on that. Infinite light of being. Here, love offers no opinion. That's a good thing. Is love offering an opinion? Does light offer any opinions? See, when Jesus is talking to you, he's not giving you an opinion. Notice that about talking to Jesus. Jesus is telling me there's a difference between an opinion and a fact, and I give you the facts. He says, I give you the facts. Okay. He says an opinion is fantasy. Opinion is a fantasy. I'm asking, it's a defense. Opinions, defenses. Ask him, is an opinion defenses? He's trying to wean us off of opinions. Yes, he says, yes, I am. Weaning us. He's weaning us off of opinioning. Yes, an opinion is a denial of divinity. You really start noticing that. After he had that in here, boy, it was like getting it between the eyes. It's all between the eyes. It has to be. He's got to be so direct. I'm seeing that. Yes, it's a gentle voice, but it's authority. There's an authority when you're talking to him. You know, we can, maybe in a light circle, we can talk about that a little bit and hear everyone speak about how they experience Jesus. But it's not a mamby-pamby kind of thing going on there. It's gentle, but it's it's like, it's carrying the authority of God with it. Here, love offers no opinion. It is. Here, love rests in magnitude, celebrating only itself as it is. Light. Honesty is essential. Without honesty, there's no opportunity to see the truth, as the ego is self-delusion. Jesus, do we need your help showing us where we're deluded? Like unequivocally. See, the ego is a play to deny how much help is needed to actually transcend personal identity. Fully transcend it. Again, it's not difficult to recognize light. It's what's here. It doesn't go anywhere. It's the addiction to the denial. It's the addiction to the opinion that we're something other than what we are, that we're something other than light. That's the opinion. This is not the honesty of the world. The world's honesty is the belief that an exchange of information as the ego sees it is truth. Honesty of God is admission of divinity. As we've spoken many times, I love this definition so much. It's been so helpful. Admitting light is here. Admitting the denials of divinity, which is admitting, yes, I do not want to be light and I need a miracle. And refusal to accept what the ego has made is true. Honesty is admitting you have all the power granted you by the Father and ceasing to deny what is granted. Honesty does not come through expressing emotions and feelings. Honesty is willingness to accept the correction. It's admitting that we're not at peace. That's what the honesty. I am not at peace. See, there's a denial there. I'm not at peace. That's all he's ever said. You can go through the entire course. Let us join quickly. Admit I'm not at peace. Join in light. It's that quick. It's always about the willingness to see it differently. However it appears, it can appear like emotions can come up. It's just knowing without that honesty of willingness to see it a different way, it doesn't really matter. You can yell and scream like a banshee for months and years. Just see that the honesty of it is, it's all desired experience. That's the only honesty, that it's desire for an experience of something other than infinite. So it's not to judge, all the expressions in consciousness related to the desire to see what truth is. It's not to judge it. You can see it as innocent. He's just offering a very fast means. Go directly to desire. Do not pass go. Because the habit in consciousness is to use emotions as an excuse not to see what's true. You can ask him, Jesus, are emotions an excuse not to see what's true? Immediately, and just hear his answer. They're the play of consciousness. So consciousness can empty out. Yes, it empties out through looking at desire, through willingness to see things another way, through forgiveness. But just see that he doesn't have any requirement in light. Does light have any requirement for emotions to wake up? You can ask him directly. And that's been the experience here. As soon as I started really looking right directly at desire, to look so directly at desire is so helpful. And it goes right underneath all the emotional kerfuffling up at the top. Honesty of God is admission of divinity, admitting the denials of divinity, and the refusal to accept what the ego has made as true. Honesty is admitting you have all the power granted you by the Father and ceasing to deny what is granted. Honesty does not come through expressing emotions and feeling. Honesty comes from inner looking at what is true, through willingness to see what's true. Am I willing to see what's true? That's just the question. That the light has come. Does divine being, the light within, recognize what is moving? Does the light see anything moving? No, it does not. Thus, everything that is moving is untrue. It feels really good to be very clear on this point about emotions, because consciousness doesn't judge. I mean, the light doesn't judge emotion. It does not judge a single thing arising in form. So if we're judging someone who has emotions, then we're out of the game. It's just to see that emotions are part of the addiction to experience, inform, and prove a me. And so the ego gets very easily confused and hung up in the emotions, and I got to express emotions and all these things. And you can just talk to Jesus about it. He'll show you what's right for you. He says, come to me with desires. I'll show you where the miracle is. See, it'll be really fast. Then emotions arise out of an underlying story under that. There's beliefs under it in storyline. that's being spun out. And he'll just go, there's the belief right there, just ask him. I'm upset. What is it? What's the desire? See, he'll just take you right, save you all the time. No, it does not experience movement, the light. Thus, everything that is moving is untrue. Is anything other than perfect peace true in our direct experience as light beings? Can we find it? Can anything other than perfect peace be known in the light of truth? This is honesty and simplicity. Honesty is admitting that you are not at peace and thus denying divinity and choosing again. Just see how quick the choosing is again. Heaven does not know what choice is. There's no choice to be divine. Jesus, do I have any choice to be light? Not to be light, I guess I would say. Do we have a choice not to be light in truth? In the light of divine being. See that there's no choice. The light's here. We can't choose not to be light. We can only choose to have a dream and pretend that the light's not here. It is the denial of divinity that generates an idea that there is choice and something to choose between. Honesty knows there's no such thing as choice because choice is two and there's only one. Miracles are merely expressions of love, expressions of Christ consciousness that point beyond form to the formless, to the power of infinite being that is untouched by laws of this world. The laws of this world are concepts, and this is beyond concepts. Miracles are a reappropriation of false creation to point to truth. They arise in consciousness without changing what is always true. No miracles are needed for what is holy and complete, infinite being. You. Just see that the light doesn't need miracles. It's the play in consciousness that denies miracles for which miracles are needed. Expressions of love. Miracles require conviction. This is so helpful to see. Miracles require conviction, as it is your conviction in your value of yourself, with a capital S, as whole and complete, even though you deny it. It's transcending the denial. This conviction is necessary. This is faith, and faith always points back to yourself. It's beautiful. I love that when he showed me that. So helpful. That faith, he's showing me, he's going, faith never points out. See, there's an idea in the play of consciousness that faith goes out somewhere. See, faith in other. Do you see? Like there's an other, there's God to be faithful in, there's Jesus to be faith. And it's helpful for a time to have faith in the Holy Spirit, something beyond the idea of a personal identity. But what Jesus showed me, he says, faith always points back to who you are. Faith in yourself is divinity. And trust is the same way. There's no place for trust to go out to. See that the light doesn't know what trust is. It just is. So trust is always pointing back to divine light. Very beautiful. The faithless are lost because they do not have conviction that they have more value than they currently perceive. What a beautiful. The faithless are lost. See how lost without faith we are? Because they do not have conviction that they have more value than they currently perceive. See, we have to have more value than what we're perceiving because perception is false. We need faith to help us look beyond perception to what we truly are, pointing back to infinite self. Thus, miracles honor yourself. Acceptance of miracles honor yourself. Conviction is an expression of faith in yourself. It denies weakness, which you must do for yourself. See, he's always pointing to the buck stops here, isn't he? Willingness is thus an expression of acceptance of the power you have to always see what is true to you. Ultimately, it points to what you must recognize. The power that is always within being to command as the Father commands. Thus, it is by your command to suffer, wow, or end all suffering as you experience it. And it's such a good reminder, you know, that story David tells when he was just really, really sick one time. I think he was sitting on the toilet, maybe even. Yeah. He just said no. And it stopped. This is the power we have as a divine being. To say, no, I'm not accepting it. That's true use of denial. Mm-hmm. To admit you can only experience what you desire. Fully admit it. However, you cannot command in truth to be separate from him, the Father, nor apart from his will. Thus, you must return to him in your rightful place as part of him, unchanged by your desire to experience hell in time. To accept divine power and cease to deny it. That's all this course is about. This is all this book is talking about. He's like giving us the, come on, jump on board with me. Accept my help. Let me show you exactly where those miracles are needed. See how powerful you are as a divine being. I feel like that's just the message for me. Mind training is a function in consciousness. The ability to notice objects as well as what is beyond all objects. This is repurposed to notice what is not natural to you. That's why he's teaching us mind, watching what's happening in the mind, what the play is, so we can learn the play techniques. It is repurposed to notice what is not natural to you, time and objective experience, and to see the contrast between time, the concept of time, the desire to experience time, and timelessness in infinite light. That's why we always start with light. What's infinite? The timeless nature of who you are. It is a refinement in consciousness to recognize the denial of wholeness, the desire to fragment consciousness for an experience of limitation. Miracles are expressions of consciousness conceived in love which collapse denial. They come from outside of consciousness to wipe the board, the untrue, to wipe the dream board. Always pointing back to infinite. Denials in reality do not exist. So they are in a sense a play within consciousness until it is seen that consciousness can never be divided. It is only an idea that it can be divided. So even consciousness is not divided. It's whole. Everything's whole. Everything of the Father is whole. Consciousness is an expression, and it's whole. It's holographic. Everything's complete, always. Then in the play of the dream, it's like, well, the MIA, something's missing in action in the play of consciousness. It is only an idea that it can be divided, and ultimately, consciousness does not exist at all. I said, Jesus, do we need to see that? He says, yes. You can ask the light, is consciousness true in the light of divine being? No. And every line in this, you can talk to Jesus about and have him tell you about it directly in your own direct experience. That's what he's offering all of us, line by line. I've said this before, line by line in the Course, because he's just emphasizing direct experience, direct. Ask me, I'll tell you. The power we have to hear him just as clearly as Helen. That's an idea that we can't hear him just as clearly as Helen now. And this is being reflected in all the joining sessions, so keep joining. If the call of your heart really is to see beyond the idea, he says, keep joining with me. Amen.